Warren, a bit of a disappointing result again for you guys. Where did it go wrong tonight?
Well, look, it's just a couple of things we've got to look at first in the game. One, we know Melbourne City are a very good team. And I've said this all along, and I'll say it again. I think they're the benchmark of the competition. But then that doesn't take away from our performance, which I believe was poor tonight. You know, there was certain things we did tonight that were really, really sloppy and below what I expect from this team. So, yeah, look, and we expect them to have the ball. They're a very good side. But, you know, we made some errors at critical times and we got punished for it.
And playing most of the second half with an extra man, do you feel like you could have created a few more chances?
Well, again, I think it comes down to where I said we were poor. I think we were poor because when we had the 10 men, we had openings and opportunities, but our touch was poor, or we were off with our decision making. We were a bit slow to move it, and for me, we sit here now. There's no excuses. We had a good response in that first 5-10 minutes. We showed good intensity after half time. We had a good chat at half time about how we needed to improve, and the opportunity was there, but we weren't good enough to take it.
Well, you made both personal and tactical changes at half time. Are you happy with the way that was implemented in the second half? What were you looking to change after the first half?
Well, I think when you're at home and, you know, we're at Suncorp and, you know, you reflect on the two games, I thought our performance was good last week without the cutting edge for a goal. But then you're 2-0 down at half time and you're here in front of your home fans and they're passing the ball in front of you and we can't get out to them. I think that's when we need to say it's not good enough, it's not acceptable, and we need to get out and press the ball more and try and get on the front foot. And we tried that, you know, but again, at times, you know, we lack that quality in the final third.
What specifically do you think needs to improve to hit the back of the net against these benchmark teams, like you say?
Well, I think when you come up against a side like Melbourne City, you've got to be at your best. You've got to absorb. You've got to suffer. You've got to, you know, take the pressure. And, you know, there's so many ways we could look at this game, because for 20 minutes we defended in a block. We didn't have much ball, but we were actually quite comfortable. That was what was disappointing for me, is that we had a couple of openings where we were starting to work into the game, but you know, we gave away ultimately one from a set piece and a penalty. 2 set pieces really that undid us. They didn't create an awful lot, but once you do go 2-0 down, and they're such a good team at passing the ball, you know, tactics need to change and we need to be a bit more on the front foot and get after them.
Warren, what makes you think you can bounce back from this and you know, show what you've really got, especially in attack? Because you obviously haven't scored yet.
Yeah.
So what's sort of giving you that belief?
Well, we're only 2 games in. You know, we've got good players. We had a couple of good players that still haven't featured yet. I know Nicola came off the bench and he had an injury, and Henry hasn't featured yet. So we've got a couple of good players still to come in, and we're still obviously looking at combinations with the players we've got. So, look, whilst tonight's disappointing, we're not going to be the first team that Melbourne City's going to do that to. So, you know, we just need to look at the positives about where we're at as a squad, build on it, keep working into the season. The A-League's a long season. As much as you lose a couple, when you start to win a couple and go on the run of games, things change, and that's been the history of the A-League. So we've had 2 pretty tough games now to start the season. I'm not panicked. I'm disappointed about tonight's performance for sure, and I'm disappointed for our fans that we couldn't give a better showing at home at Suncorp. That's disappointing.
Warren, service to Charlie. I guess, you know, last week Carlo was good in the area, but I guess it wasn't there tonight. And like in terms of Carlo, he played I think 70 minutes. Is he, in terms of his fitness, where's that at? And you know, what do you make of his effort?
Yeah, well, I think that was it. You know, if you took a look at the 2 games, I think we got into very good areas again tonight, and our crossing was probably not as good as it was last weekend, and it was good last weekend without, you know, that last pass or that final touch. We were a bit unlucky last weekend. Tonight we can't say that. You know, our crossing wasn't there. We had set pieces. We had good crossing opportunities. We either took the wrong option or our crossing wasn't good enough. So Charlie's a player that thrives off crosses as well. So we need to put the ball in the right area for him to attack as well. So, you know, that's where we'll get our improvement. That's where we'll get our work. And, you know, like I said, tonight came up against a very good side. We know that, but we also will probably reflect on that and probably think we could have done a lot better ourselves individually.
Mooney, is it just a case now of just putting that behind you as a bad performance and just saying, yep, that's it, put it behind us, we can't learn a huge amount from the fact that they weren't implementing the plan, etc. like that? Or is it a case where you're going to look at little items in that match and say, why weren't we able to get the ball out wide, why weren't we able to put the balls into us? And what from a coaching perspective do you do now to put a disappointing performance behind?
Yeah, look, you don't need to panic with 2 games in. It's I can reflect now and say, well, I can look at the positives and say, well, for 20 minutes they didn't really create a chance, and we gave away a needless corner when we could have dealt with it and then didn't handle a set piece. The penalty was given when there was a head knock, and the play should have been stopped. I could look at the 2 positives and say, well, defensively up until that point we were right, but then I want to say we need to do more. We want to be better than that, with the ball especially, So, we will analyse as we always do, what we improve on, what we get out of tonight. We'll always find something. I think we've played really well against Melbourne City down in Melbourne. I think we lost 3-2 a couple of years ago, got 0 from the game as well. So, it's football has a great way of giving you the opportunity to bounce back, and whether we played well or we didn't, the ultimate result tonight was 0 points, and now we need to pick ourselves up this week and go down to Sydney for a strong showing and try and get 3 points.
So, Mary, just one more on Knowles and Austin, what's the name, tandem. Do you think that that's going to work? Will you sort of keep with that or not?
Well, I think it's an available option right now. That's why I said I think we still have Henry Hoare and Nicola Milivojevic out. So I think when everyone's fit, we have plenty of attacking options. And then it's up to the players to find the right combination and put themselves in the shop window. Like Henry was excellent for us last year and unfortunately picked up an injury a couple of days before the first game against Macarthur. So, but we know what he can do. So when he's playing, so we know when everyone's fit, we'll have competition for spots, and we'll keep working to find the right combination. Right now, in the first 2 games, it's been Knowles next to Charlie with Riku on the other side. But we'll go away from tonight and we'll see what the best 11 will be for next week.
And Warren, we saw some extended minutes tonight for Jez in the second half. Do you feel like he's improved as a player heading into his second season with the A-League side?
Look, I know Jez is a very popular person in the local community, and I'm sure we all want to see him do well. But the reality is, it was there for you tonight. There was flashes of his quality, but there's not enough consistency in what he's doing right now, and it doesn't mean we'll give up. We'll keep working with Jez, because we can see when he does provide what he does, it excites the crowd, it excites the players, excites us. But at this level, you need to produce it more often, and there's other parts of the game that are important. Defensive duty is important, and until we can see that consistency, we'll, not sure where Jezzy's at yet in terms of starting for this team, but he needs to do more.
Any more questions? All good? Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Warren.